If you're somebody who replays conversations at 2 a.m. at night and you have to overthink every decision and you have to always dissect things and overthink and stretch, give excuses and try to make things feel perfect, this video is for you because you're definitely an overthinker. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what is overthinking, the science of overthinking, how to manage overthinking, and also share my personal stories of how I overcame this whole overthinking vibe, because overthinking will change your life. In our last video, we talked about the inner critic as a voice that tries to manage your head, a voice that lives in your head, a voice that tells you that you can't, that you have to wait until things are perfect, that there's people that are better than you, or a voice that simply tells you you're going to fail. That voice works very well with overthinking because it's the one that gives you these ideas that you need to rethink, dissect things before you take up space. Let me share with you a personal story of how overthinking limited my life. I used to overthink every business decision that I tried to do. I used to overthink every post that I have to post. I actually overthought about posting and creating content for a year or two before I even started. And because I was also seeking validation from other people, that didn't help. That did not help, because I remember one person who told me that you had to get a phone, an expensive phone. You cannot do content with that crappy phone that you have. And guess what? In the middle of the night, I was overthinking which type of phone, how much it costs. Is everybody going to watch this? I started overthinking and trying to process everything at that time. But when I learned how to manage overthinking and let go, I created my first video on that very same phone because I had learned how to manage overthinking. Today I'm excited to teach you the system that I used, a system that I implemented, nothing fancy but very effective. So stay with me. So before we go any further, somebody would ask, but what is overthinking? What does overthinking look like? How do I define overthinking? Well, I'm not going to give you like a dictionary definition. I'm going to apply this to real life. Overthinking looks like intelligence, but overthinking is not intelligence. Overthinking is actually paralysis pretending to be intelligence. It's over-analysis and over dissecting things while it feels like you're trying to make things better, like you're trying to perfect this presentation you have at work, you're trying to perfect the product that you're going to sell, and you rehearse and replay it over and over again until you can't even do it. That is overthinking. Overthinking is not smartness or wisdom. Like I said, it's paralysis just pretending to be intelligence. It's fear acting as wisdom. That's just how I define overthinking. And most of us are trapped in our minds, living in our minds, overthinking things that we have no control over. And honestly, one of the things that I know about overthinking is that we never overthink things that we have control on. We usually overthink things that we can't control, like things that are gone. A conversation you had at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, just tell me why you are overthinking it at 10 p.m. It's simply because you are trying to perfect things that have been, that you no longer have control over, and your mind is stealing your peace. Your inner critic is telling you, you could have said this, you could have done this. That is overthinking. So overthinking is not intelligence. Don't even try to classify it as something that is really positive, because overthinking will paralyze you. It has paralyzed most of us in the past, me included, of course. Somebody may ask, but what are the signs that I'm overthinking? Because I might be overthinking without even knowing about it. Now, the biggest sign of overthinking is replaying decisions in your mind. You have taken a decision, you have thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then you're going to like replay that decision in your mind 20 times before you execute. Just know that you're an overthinker. One of the other signs of overthinking is imagining worst case scenarios. And overthinker is never overthinking the positive most of the time. An overthinker tends to think the worst case scenario of, okay, if I had that conversation, it didn't go well. If I had that interview, it didn't go well, I'm not going to get the job. So usually an overthinker thinks things like, oh, if I produce this product now, it's not going to sell. If I do this now, it's not going to impress people. If I take this business decision now, it's not going to push or advance my business. So usually you find that you overthink a negative case scenarios, like the worst case scenario. The other sign is being a people pleaser. Now, if you are a people pleaser, you overthink things before you even bring them to the table. If you are a people pleaser, you have to overthink how you're going to please them. Will this impress them or will this not impress them? So that's one of the signs that you are an overthinker. And the last but not least is where you delay decisions. Because you have to overthink these things at first, you find yourself delaying decisions by a day or two, sometimes a week, sometimes never, because overthinking cripples you up. Remember I said overthinking was... Hi besties, so I'm back inside because my neighbor is doing some DIY project with a noisy machine. Anyway, we were talking about signs that you're an overthinker. We talked about replaying conversations, seeking validation, mental exhaustion, and also being a people pleaser. Those are things that make you an overthinker. Those are like signs that you are one, in case you didn't know. Those are the signs. When it comes to overthinking, sometimes we have to dissect what caused you to be an overthinker. What is the root cause of being an overthinker? There are many things that can get you to that point. I'll give myself as an example. I became an overthinker as my condition developed into what it is today, because I wanted to belong. I wanted other people to accept me. So I used to overthink even the tiniest detail just so that I could fit in at a time that I didn't even have to. So some people become overthinkers because of rejection. They become overthinkers because they're afraid of being rejected. Some people become overthinkers because of criticism. Some people become overthinkers because of their beliefs. Like, I've met some religious people that are overthinkers. They overthink every conversation, every tiny detail, and at the end of the day, they live in this mental prison that they don't realize is a mental prison. So being an overthinker can come out from heartbreak. It can come out from past experiences, childhood traumas. My cats don't really want to see me do anything good in life. As soon as I start trying to do good, this is what they do. So now that we have talked about what overthinking is, the signs, how do you know you're an overthinker, let's talk about the system I talked about that I use, that I even used in the past to just come out of overthinking. So I'm a reader. I used to read about different subjects because I had no one to ask these things. YouTube University were not available. So I used to read a lot of books and try to come up with systems that were going to manage my new life, because I understood from the get-go that the life that I'm going to live with perirambic syndrome was not going to be a life like any other. It was going to be full of challenges, but I also didn't want a life centered around perirambic syndrome. I wanted a life beyond the mirror, and that is exactly what I've built for myself, a life beyond the mirror, a life beyond any circumstance that happens to me. And I want you to also live beyond your overthinking. I want you to know that overthinking is just something very small. You can live beyond it. If you have a circumstance, a condition, a disability, you can live beyond it. It's not the end of the world. So I have a 4-step system. The first in that is that you need to catch it. You need to catch the enemy. You need to catch it and name it. You need to exactly catch yourself overthinking and admit that you're overthinking. If you are in the middle of the night, you are finding yourself rehearsing a conversation that happened earlier that day, catch it, that I'm overthinking here. That's the first step, to admit that you are overthinking. And the second step that you need to do, you need to name it. You need to name it. You need to name the spiral that, okay, I'm overthinking. Secondly, what am I overthinking about? First, you catch it, and then the second step, you need to name the spiral. You need to ask yourself, what am I overthinking about? Okay, I'm overthinking, but what is this about? What is this thing that I'm thinking about? What is the point here? Once you have identified it, named it, you are halfway through. Now, the next step that you need to do, you need to know how to interrupt your thoughts. The first thing you need to do by interrupting your thoughts, you need to ask yourself one particular question. Is this within my control or is it beyond my control? And honestly, most of these things are beyond your control. If you're overthinking about a conversation you had earlier, can you turn back the hands of time and go do this conversation again? You definitely cannot. So it's beyond your control one way or the other. You need to interrupt that thought. Interrupting that thought, you can do almost anything. Sometimes you are overthinking because you are like on your phone watching your ex's profile, overthinking about what you could have done better in that relationship, overthinking what you could have done if you could have said this, if you couldn't have acted like this. Now, how do you interrupt that thought? Put your phone down. Put your phone down, go drink water, go for a walk. Try to open up music that lifts up your soul, and also know how to lift up your vibration, because once you are in the overthinking mode, your vibration is really low. Now, what is your vibration? Vibration is like your mood in simple terms. If you find yourself in a really low mood, overthinking things and just being in that spiral, you need to interrupt it. You need to find an outlet. You need to go do something that cuts that chain of thoughts. Now, that is something that is so easy to do. Something as easy as going to the kitchen, drinking some water, or making yourself a snack, or going out for a walk. I encourage going out for a walk. And sometimes you're overthinking and your brain is not even functioning properly. Just a dose of oxygen solves things. Sometimes you're overthinking because you are having like a brain fog. And when you're having a brain fog, your brain is just in this funky mode where you are having idle thoughts around you. Interrupt that thought. And then the next step that you need to do, you need to ask relevant questions. Is this fear or is this fact? Because most of the time we are overthinking because of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of what could happen, fear of how it could have happened, fear that you ruined things, fear of just thinking worst case scenarios. In the previous video that we discussed the inner critic, one of the methods of dealing with your inner critic, I said you need to ask relevant questions. You need to ask, is this fear or fact? And you still have to do this here because overthinking is a form of your inner critic. It's like an example or an extension or a form of your inner critic. So if you ask the relevant questions, that is this fact? Whatever I'm overthinking about, is this fact or is this just me being in a mode of fear? Because sometimes you're overthinking things that are not even true. Sometimes you're overthinking that in that conversation you had earlier, you might have offended, you might have not impressed, you might have made a fool of yourself. Is this fact or is this fear? In that situation, that is fear. You are just afraid of things you are not sure about. You're just afraid of things you are not even aware of. If you had made like a fool of yourself, maybe you would have had feedback. So after questioning if this is fear or if this is fact, you need now to replace that thought. You need now to replace it with something so positive that that thought doesn't carry magnitude anymore. For example, if I am overthinking a post that, okay, what if I post this and nobody likes it? And what if this doesn't impress my audience? What if people hate my content? If I name the thought, catch myself and say I'm overthinking about my content. And if I ask the relevant question, is this fear or fact? And I say this is fear. This is me fearing the unknown. This is me fearing things that I'll never know about. And now how do I replace that? I would go to my best performing posts, for example, and posts that I did that went viral. And I would say, but people have listened to me before. People have watched my content. People have enjoyed interacting with me. People don't judge me because of how I look. People have got nothing against me. So when I replace that thought with something positive, and when I speak facts that, okay, I have done this before, so I'm going to do it again, it literally overrides the negative thought that I've had. And if you choose a better thought like, okay, I am doing this today, it might not be perfect, I don't need to overthink it, but success rewards consistency. It doesn't reward perfection. Success doesn't actually reward talent. It rewards consistency. Somebody who shows up a day at a time, tomorrow they are better. That is me. I might show up today with a camera that is not the best. I might show up today with content that is not refined. But the more I do it, I'm going to learn how to master this content thing, and I feel confident. Now, I want you to understand that being an overthinker is not like you're infected or addicted to a feeling or something that is just unique. Most of us overthink. Most of us are always thinking about these things that we can't control. And at every point in your life, you are bound to overthink something. So I have a daily routine that makes sure that it detoxifies my mind against overthinking. I have a daily mantra that I say, like in the morning when I wake up, I command my morning. I talked about it on social media a few days ago that have you commanded your morning? Like I'm a Christian. Job 38:12 says, have you commanded your morning since your day began? Have you caused dawn to know its place? Me reading the scripture as a whole, it tells me I've got enough authority to tell whatever is in my life its place, meaning that I'm able to tell my thoughts their place, that my thoughts, you are under my government. You do not control me, I control you. Overthinking is not a portion of my life. It's not even something religious or spiritual. It's something that is psychological. The more I say it, I believe it. I'm one person who believes so much in mental mastery, that if you master your mental game, nothing can happen to you. Nothing can literally beat you. So my morning routine is that I have to say it. I have to command my morning. I have to command how my day is going to be like. My day is going to be productive because I am intelligent, calm, inquisitive, hardworking. I work smart and I have systems in place. I literally say these things to myself. Like, for example, one of the things that I've been doing for many years is that when I touch my chest and I say I am Lao, it's a power statement. Lao is my birth name, by the way. So when I say I am Lao, the reason why it's a power statement is because of my Christian faith. I am is the name of God. And when you say I am and you put something, you are like giving it permission to exist. And when I say I am Lao, I am in charge of my thoughts. I'm in charge of my life. I'm in charge of my day. And my day is going to go so well. And my day is going to be productive. Today, I'm only going to meet people who are aligned with my destiny. Today, I'm going to do things that I'm supposed to do, not things that are decided for me by chance or fate or whatever. I'm going to do things that are aligned to my divine destiny. I am Lao. That statement carries so much weight. And when I found myself overthinking about business relationships or business ideas I have to implement, if I found myself having back-to-back thinking in a loop of thoughts where I am back and forth with my thinking, I usually will say, I am Lao. I am Lao. I do not need affirmation to be Lao. I don't need any confirmation. I do not need any permission to be this amazing because I'm amazing. I'm Lao. And the minute I say that, there is a stillness that just comes into the room, and I'm able to go forward knowing about my power that I am Lao. I am Lao. You should try it with your name as well. It gives you so much confidence. Then in the evening, I journal. I do what I call a brain dump. I will literally write everything that has happened in my day, the wins, and if there are things that I didn't like with my day, I also write them down like a brain dump. And what do? I write how I'm going to improve them tomorrow. I write how those things will never defeat me. I write how those things will never take care of my life, take hold of my life. And I believe me doing this, I am present and living my life. I'm not passive in my life. You know, there's a feeling where sometimes you are not in control of your life, such that you overthink everything and you're just passive and you're just leaving, going to work, coming back. You are not present. You are not in touch with your inner self. You're not in touch with your thoughts. Now that is not a good thing. That is how overthinking consumes you. People's opinion consumes you. You're just living in a bit of a ghost mode. So I don't want that for you. So I want you to take care of yourself and stop overthinking. When you start implementing systems to deal with a problem, like I implemented a system to deal with overthinking, I started leading, creating, producing, dreaming again. I started feeling like I am La, or I am the La, or I am powerful. I started feeling that and saying it every morning and doing a brain dump every evening. And then that's when I realized that I am now in charge of my life. As we come to the end of this video, I want you to remember something. Your mind is powerful. Like, your mind is so powerful. You can choose peace or trouble. You can choose poverty or success. You are literally at a place of power where you can choose what happens to you. On our next video, I'm going to discuss one more topic that relates to the inner critic, so that at the end of the day, you are aware of these little things that are trying to drive your life. So bestie, I'm glad that you're finally taking care of your life and trying to find yourself some help. So comment, I choose peace in the comment section if this talked to you. Bye bestie.